What's up, guys? It's Tuesday, December 27th, and this is Newswave. So not a lot of news came out, obviously, yesterday because it's the day after Christmas. For a lot of people, that was actually their Christmas because a lot of companies and places of work will basically, if it falls on like a Sunday, Christmas does, they'll give you that Monday off just to observe that as the holiday, so you at least get a day off for Christmas. Most places have a day set aside in their schedule to give employees off at least one day of work for Christmas. So of course, a lot of people were not in the office yesterday, so a lot of news did not come out. So Pixel Mage Games is a studio, I guess you call it a studio, it's a group of people basically, who started essentially a Kickstarter to promote and create a role-playing game that they had been working on, they believed in, called Hero's Song. And the issue they've run into is, I assume, they've pretty much run out of money, or they've decided that it's not going to work out going forward. Now, they did a Kickstarter that succeeded, and then they realized, I think, that their pitch wasn't good enough to the customers, people who backed them. I think they realized they needed more money, and it wasn't going to turn out how they wanted with the amount they raised. They then tried to do an Indiegogo, where they were attempting to seek $200,000, got to $94,000, so it didn't quite make it. It was actually finished less than half. And then all of a sudden, Hero Song shows up on Steam Early Access, where they kind of build it and let people buy it and play it and try it out. So what happened was yesterday, they actually came out the day after Christmas, which was kind of sad. They came out and said that they have to close down shop, essentially, and Hero Song is going to be canceled. So if you're a fan of Hero Song or you've been following it, sorry, it looks like they're shutting down. It's never fun to watch a studio close their doors because people lose jobs. They lose a creative dream that they've probably had for a while, especially when you have a game that is, I mean, most of the framework was laid. They had the idea of what the game was going to be. I guess it just didn't work out for them. I guess maybe the costs were too high. Maybe they ran into a lot of roadblocks that would have set them back too much. But they basically said, sorry, we're not going to be able to finish this game. And they are doing the right thing. They're offering backers their refunds. So if you did back this game, if you send them an email, they're saying you send them an email, and they will get caught up with you, basically, with the money you've put in, and just try to get you a refund, so that way everything's all squared up. Again, it's sad to see Studio Pixel Mage Games close, but sometimes, you have to be honest, especially with your backers, and then you have to move on after that. And the same day that we have that game canceled, another one is announced. That seems to be the way it goes, Circle of Life with games. And by the game I'm talking about that's announced, it's actually Double Dragon 4. And I know what you guys are thinking. I hope it's not like a crappy reboot of the game, the original one. Well, this is cool because the trailer on YouTube is less than 2 minutes long, I think. It's less than that. It's probably like a minute 40. And it shows, for a good half of it, the first Double Dragon. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, are they going to do like some big remastering where it becomes like that weird 2D, 3D look? Actually, no. It turns into a really cool looking, very true to form Double Dragon game. And I'm really happy. It looks like it went from 3 right to 4 without any time between. It looks awesome. It's supposed to be in HD. It's going to be on the PS4 and the PC is what's announced so far. Who knows if other ones are announced. And what's really cool is it actually comes out in about a month. So they've announced it, and then a month later, January 30th, 2017, it will be out. And it looks so cool. It looks like old school Double Dragon, and it has, of course, co-op. It even has like a credits in the middle with the high score and everything. It looks great. I'm going to be playing this game definitely when it comes out, and I'll keep an eye on any of the newer trailers and stuff that come out and let you guys know, but this is my game. I'm really excited for Double Dragon. I played so much of Double Dragon 2 on the NES and 3, and I, of course, played Double Dragon, Battletoads Double Dragon a lot. So I will be playing this. I'll get this on Steam, got my controller hooked up, and go to town on Double Dragon 4. Oh, and this might be the stupidest piece of news I've seen in a long time. I don't know how these heads of divisions in these big companies get themselves into so much trouble, and maybe some of you guys saw this. Again, I don't get it, but there's a person named Dov Katz. He works the computer vision at Oculus VR, and his job is essentially to help develop the Oculus Rift and make it more accessible to home users, people maybe even who get an Xbox One and want to use it or a lower end PC. They've been trying to make Oculus basically and get into people's homes, and he was part of the design team that's doing that. Well, this idiot basically got arrested for trying to solicit sex from an underage girl, and it's so bad. I mean, you develop VR, okay? You can do things in VR that you can't do in real life. If this is what you wanted, go home and design a program and never enter the real world with those thoughts. So he gets arrested. because he's texting what he believes to be a 15-year-old girl. This is a head of the division, a very smart person, you would assume. Texting a 15-year-old girl. What he believes to be a 15-year-old girl actually turns out to be an undercover agent. So what happens? He gets arrested, of course, immediately. And this is police in, I can't even pronounce, Tukwila? I wish I could pronounce that right. It's the police department, of course. Gets arrested. And he's been released already on a $125,000 bail. So, of course, he has no problem paying that because he's head of a division at Oculus. But it just goes to show you that even the smart people at the top are so stupid. Like, really, just so dumb. That's got to be the most embarrassing thing. I assume Oculus is going to part ways with him because this is really bad looking. He still, of course, has to go to, I assume, court and everything for this, but this is not good for him. This is not good. This is something that could get you obviously put in jail, and we'll see what happens. But Oculus, if I were you guys, Facebook, of course, I believe owns it. They bought them. I would consider parting ways with this person because they do not seem like the best choice in character. And all we have left after yesterday is just Switch news. And there was some interesting thing that happened. Laura Kate Dale actually came out and did an AMA, an Ask Me Anything, on the Reddit Switch forum. And of course, people are basically asking questions about, a little more about who she is and everything. And then we kind of get into Switch stuff. She doesn't really reveal much more than we already know right now because she doesn't really want to leak anything else or ruin surprises, as she's saying. And that's fine. I understand that. But there was an interesting thing that she brought up, and I noticed this pretty quick. And it had me think about this because immediately as this is happening, there's a leak that comes out from another site. I think it's Baidu. It's a Chinese website. We have to translate it, but it does back up the original Foxconn leak. And we'll get that to a second, but basically Laura Kate Dale said that a lot of the specs we see being leaked, underpower ones in particular, are based on older July leaks. They're based on older July dev kits. So these leaks are for older dev kits. And she goes on to say that from what she's heard, dev kits showing up now in October are more powerful than the ones in July. And considering Maxwell and Pascal are fairly similar architectures, of course Pascal is better because it's more efficient, it runs cooler, it uses less energy, and it generally performs much better because of this. It's possible people are being sent older dev kits that have X1s, and really the new dev kits or the Switch will have a customized somewhere in the middle of Maxwell Pascal using both sides to make a customized chip. There's a possibility that they were just sent dev kits with X1s in it because it is going to be compatible with whatever chip the Switch launches with. So that's something to think about. She's basically saying that these dev kits are changing consistently. I mean, if there was one in July, there's another one in October, they're changing a lot. So they're probably already going to have one at launch as well that's different from the one they have in October. And I've talked about this before. Dev kits do change, but this is interesting that she kind of came out and said that. So it gives us an idea that maybe we don't, like I said before, Digital Foundry, they're doing their homework, obviously. Eurogamer, they're doing what they can, but maybe they are getting specs from older dev kits for all we know. We don't know the whole story, like I said before. So we won't know probably January. We'll see screenshots, we'll see videos, we'll see announcements, but we probably won't see NVIDIA pop up on stage with a screenshot of their specs. And going back to that reinforcement, like I said, on the Baidu Chinese website, that is now taken down. I didn't even get a chance to screenshot it. I don't think anybody did, but it went up. They discussed what they are seeing in manufacturing, essentially, in China. And I'm sure these switches are being developed in China. Well, they're being manufactured in China through a factory. Of course, it's cheaper to do it there. It makes sense. And we had that original Foxconn leak where they talked about how powerful this switch is. They even said it had a 1080p screen, which didn't make much sense to us. And then a Wall Street journalist comes out and says 1080p screen. So I still think 720, but this same post came up essentially from another source, this Baidu source, and they talk about how it's an A73 processor. They talk about how it's a Pascal chipset. So we're getting conflicting rumors all over the place, and I think some of that has to do, like I said before, with older dev kits, and then just these manufacturers in China. Again, if that's what they really are, we did have to translate it from Chinese obviously to English to take a look at it, and the post came down quickly after, I guess, it was discovered, or maybe who knows why it was taken down. Maybe they didn't want to be a part of this, But there's a lot of conflicting rumors, and it's very hard to gauge what's going on. If it has those A73s, it's definitely not going to be an X1 chipset. It's going to be a heavily customized chip that may have elements of Pascal to it. So we just don't know. But the original Foxconn said it was performing extremely well. This other one on Baidu said it had floating point 32 of 500 gigaflops, which puts it at the 1 teraflop mark with floating point 16. So who really knows who to believe anymore? We're so close. Oh, we're so close to the Switch event. I just want to get there. Really, at this point, specs are going to be specs. I just want to see or hear about games. So if you want to leak anything right now, leak some games. Leak some third-party games so we know they're happening. But other than that, guys, I will see you tomorrow for more Newswave. You may see a video come out tonight for me as well. We'll talk about some other stuff. I really got to get into the Maxwell and the Pascal architectures. People just don't seem to understand what the differences are, especially the websites that are trying to write about the differences and getting them completely backwards, where they're saying Pascal is hotter. We'll get into that too, guys. Don't worry. But until then, guys, I'll see you next time.